aged, like he was a great master in control of time. They were using chemicals on his face to make him look younger. And they had some tricks of their own to do this, so he always looked kind of young. Actually, the man, the original Saint Germain, died at the age of 73. And since that time, they've even tried to keep that legend going, claiming the man was alive. What they will do is they will find people who actually looked like the original man. They will do some facial work on him, maybe even alter it with surgery and with chemicals and so forth to make him look the same, and perform the same kind of tricks and so forth on people to give the illusion that Saint Germain was timeless, he was ageless, he was just going to live on forever. Okay, we're now ready for the 45th contact, which happened on Wednesday, February 25th, 1976. So you can see that Billy's contacts now have been going on for a little more than a year. At this point, Semjase had pretty much covered all the things that she wanted to say, and most of the contacts were usually centered around a lot of questions that Billy would have. So as the next year will go on here, we'll find that most of the time Billy will have a series of questions with him from members of the group and other people that he wants to ask Semjase about. And so there'll be a lot of short answers here. For instance, he had a question about the metal of the beam ships, which was asked by some scientific type that had visited the house and wanted to know the answer if they would reveal how they make the ships. And she says, well, they can tell us a little bit that primarily it is a lead-based alloy that they use. And they actually extract the lead from water, plants, and from the atmosphere of planets which are very heavy in lead content. They even use decaying stars, she says, quite often for that have heavy lead atmospheres. So they get the very soft lead alloy from that place, and then they convert the soft metal into a harder metal using some sort of conversion process. There's a couple of chemical processes involved also that make the lead much harder than our current steel. But even at that point, it's not quite ready to be into a beam ship. It has to undergo one other process, which she didn't want to talk about, because she didn't want to feed us any more technical information than that. But she says here on Earth we have all the main elements, or most of them anyway, to make the alloy, which is primarily copper, nickel, silver, and some of them have gold in it. And she volunteered to bring Billy a couple of samples of this. So he was excited about that. And it wasn't too long after that, by the way, she did bring him some samples. She brought him 3 samples, and they're going to be given to Marcel Vogel at IBM in America, and who did a pretty extensive analysis using the electron microscope on the different samples that were brought to him. As a matter of fact, there is a videotape out called The Metal, and it's about an hour long, and it's all Marcel Vogel looking through the electron microscope, analyzing the samples brought to him, and explaining how they're made or so forth. And his summary in the end of the videotape actually is that he could understand most all the particles that were in the metal. He wasn't confused by that, but he said the manufacturing process at the moment was a process that was a little too advanced for us. It appeared to be a cold fusion process, and there wasn't any way with our current technology he felt we could put these metals together. Semjase mentioned that they don't mine the metals on their own worlds. She says it's not really good for the planet. She says when you take precious ores and minerals and oils and so forth out of a planet, you're actually damaging the planet. We're not used to thinking of planets as living organisms, as creatures of the creation. They do. They regard a planet as an evolving creature, just like a human, but existing at a much lower consciousness. Because of that, she says, you shouldn't take oil, gas, and the precious ores and so forth out of the planet, that you're actually hurting the planet in a way. And we shouldn't dam up our water either. It causes shifts in energy fields and even shifts somehow in geologically somehow, and she didn't elaborate on that. She was also very concerned about her atom bomb testing. She says the underground atom bomb testing is very dangerous. As we explained earlier in the contact, that it's affecting certain real sensitive areas around the planet, which affect the small microorganisms. And she says one of the really scary facts is that under the guise of atom bomb testing, we are told that they're testing bombs and so forth, that there is another program going on in secret by our government where they're testing what they call the doomsday device. She says it's not an atom bomb, that they've come up with another device, scarier than a bomb, that actually starts a chain reaction which causes the entire planet to just, as she calls it, atomize, just be self-destructed into dust. She says it would only take 7 or 8 minutes once this thing was set off to totally destroy the planet in what they called a firestorm. So we've been experimenting around apparently with some very deadly devices, and this is back in the early 70s now. And they are very concerned that if these get out of hand or they actually come to use, a chain reaction would be started. 7 to 8 minutes, the entire planet would be ripped over by a firestorm, and the whole planet would actually be self-destructed. In another set of questions given to Billy by some astronomers, she commented on the age of the Earth. She says, which is 646 billion years old. Our sun is 1,730 billion years old. And she made reference again to our oil reserves. She says we really only have about 27 and a half years left currently of oil reserves that we can actually get to. She says you have to think of oil is actually a life form. It's kind of like a germ to the earth, something like we might have parasites, in our own body. Well, oil is also important to the planet itself. She says the planet Earth is we've used up 65 billion tons of oil so far since we started taking it out of the ground. Interestingly enough, 20 billion tons of oil have been destroyed or damaged by atom bomb testing. So here like a third of the oil that we've taken out of the planet we've ruined through atom bomb testing. A planet like Earth produces 1 billion tons of oil every billion years, and we've exploited about 1/10 of our total oil supply right now. The oil that's been taken out, it would take almost twice as long for the Earth to replenish it because we've destroyed so many other elements in nature also. They estimate it would take about 118 billion years to replace the oil that we've taken out. She also commented that 35 years ago, which would put us back around 1940, that 86.1% of the Earth was fertile ground. Today it's down to 39.7%. So there's been a lot of damage to the planet. The 5 most important things they felt we could do as far as learning to live with the planet and to repair nature were: 1, reduce the population to under 1 billion, because our heavy population puts strain on the social, economic systems, as well it puts a lot of strain on the planet because the subconscious thoughts of all of these people are too much really for the planet, considering that most of our thoughts are very degenerate: hate, anger, depression, confusion, and so forth, which are not healthy for nature. Number 2, stop robbing the earth of oil, gas, and ores. We are contributing to earthquakes and volcanoes, for one thing, by taking that stuff out, and we damage the planet. The planet will find a way to try to heal itself. We need to stop the atom testing, the underground explosions. That's obviously rather silly to do. Not only is it contributing to earthquakes on the West Coast, it's damaging oil, it's sending all sorts of high-frequency oscillations and vibrations through the planet itself, causing other kinds of damage, and it's damaging small microorganisms. We need to tear down all of the dams. Now that may sound like a silly little thing, but she says that's more important than we're really aware of. We shouldn't be damming the water up. It causes shifts in energy, and it causes it natural. Obviously, we're stopping the natural flow of water across the landmass, and we shouldn't be doing that. She also feels it's very important that we tear down all the nuclear power stations and quit trying to get power out of exploding atoms. It's very dangerous to nature, it's very dangerous to our health, and ultimately will lead to diseases and so forth, which we can not even imagine at this point. Okay, once again, it's time to turn the tape over, fast forward, and I'll see you on the other side.